Hey guys, JC Smith here. Well, it's a sad day for me. The old Gradall is broke down. It's not anything major, not anything huge or hard to figure out. It's just a starting issue. I'll give you a little history on this. Back in March, it was still cold out, and it wasn't that cold. It was continuously been about the same temperature. One day I went to go get in it, and I went to start it, and it cranked slower than normal. And I thought, well, there's no shame for that battery. It's like 4 or 5 years old, and I had just got a new skid of Napa batteries in, so I went ahead and changed the battery out, and I just took the old battery and I stuck it in another truck, and not a big deal. Well, after I put the battery in, cleaned the connections up on the battery itself, battery cables, that is, and then at the other end of the ground and the positive where they go on the machine, went to go start it, and it really cranked no better. So it told me that more than likely I had a starter solenoid problem or a starter problem, and it got to where progressively it would crank slow, and then the next thing was you'd hit the key several times, and it'd take you 3 or 4 times of hitting the key before it would actually take off and start. And then in the middle of the dump truck build, it got to where you could hit that key as many times as you want, it wasn't going to start. So I'd have to come out to the starter solenoid, which is under this little cover right here. It's got a starter solenoid right here. I'll try and get out of the sun here so you can see it. And I would have to use this my extra key to start it. And I would just take my key, let's see if I can get this, right across some terminals, and that worked great. Now I got to tell you one thing, that worked great, but putting that key in my pocket was not easy. So anyways, I thought I should go ahead and take a look at it. It got to where jumping it here did no good anymore. It just sounded horrible, like the bearings were gone inside the starter itself. So unfortunately, I pulled the starter off, and I took some jumper cables to a battery, and yeah, it showed me the same thing. I really originally thought it might have been something in the neutral safety or the parking brake, because the way this system works is when you turn the key on and you hit the start part of the key, it goes in series through the neutral safety switch and the park switch. Both of those have to be closed in order for it to send a signal to this solenoid. And what's really weird is it comes into this solenoid, and all this solenoid does is jump. It basically takes battery power here and takes the battery power coming out and sends it to the solenoid on the starter, which I thought was really weird. So I started thinking about it, and I didn't understand why, and I think I understand why now. I think they do that because they put the second solenoid here, because when this hood is closed over there and the boom is down, if you have to jump that solenoid, you can still get to it because of this cutout. Okay, so I think this may be here as a jumper to jump for the solenoid, but I don't know. So anyways, I tested the starter, and the starter's no good. It sounds horrible, like the bearings are out of it. So unfortunately, it has to come from Cummins. Well, it doesn't have to, but that's what I want. And Cummins is about Cummins shop that I deal with is about an hour and 15 minutes from me, and they're not open today. So I'll have to go out Monday, because today's Sunday, and get a starter for it and get it back in, and hopefully that takes care of her. And it's not really a big deal, it's just a little bit of maintenance, but you don't realize how much you depend on that machine until it's broke. My intentions today was to come down here. I was going to take the Gradall, I was going to put the exhaust manifolds on this engine, and I was going to go ahead and lift this engine and hang it from the Gradall, change the oil pan out, or take the oil pan off, take the pickup tube off, clean the pickup tube real good, clean the oil pan, clean the pickup tube, change the pickup tube if I need to, and put this oil pan on. This is the oil pan for the F-150. This is the oil pan for the Super Duty, the F-250, F-350s. So anyways, it just kind of set me back on this. I could still do this with a skid steer or the tow motor, or I do have a cherry picker. It's just not my preferred method, so I'll just get everything cleaned up like the best I can today, go as far as I can, and then tomorrow we'll get a starter for the old girl, get her all fixed up, and then once it's running and operating like it should be, we will move the truck frame over. So I don't need to go over things we've already talked about. So that's it. I'll leave you with that, and we'll catch you when I get a starter. So stick around. Well, this couldn't be any more of a typical Monday if I tried. So I've been waiting to go get my starter that Napa was going to have at 1 o'clock today. So I hung around for almost 2.5 hours waiting rather than driving an hour back and then an hour back in and then an hour back home again. And I went to go pick it up, and it's the wrong one. Very frustrating. So, needless to say, I don't have a starter. And they won't have the right one until tomorrow morning. The Cummins dealer could have had it tomorrow morning. Oh well, that's the way life works, man. It's just how it is. So, I'm headed home. I'm going to drive home. Hopefully I can get a little bit more done on the engine today. I guess I'll just either use a cherry picker or skid steer or something to lift the engine. Just frustrating. I really want to get the Gradall back together. I hate the fact that it's down. You know, I got something I got to do with it. It's a pretty big job, and I need that. Actually, I need it right now. I needed it yesterday, actually, but it is what it is, man. We all make mistakes, and you know, the guy at Napa, he's a good guy. He rarely makes a mistake. This rarely happens. He just basically typed in the wrong number to order, so it is what it is. So let's get back to the shop and get to work, I guess. Okay, guys, so we got our starter. I'm going to get it put in there. It's just a 2-bolt. This is different from any other Cummins we could find in the catalog, because most of them had a 3-bolt flange on it, and this one only has just the 2, and that's the big difference. You know, when they didn't have it, I thought about taking my old one and taking one from just a 5.9 Cummins and just taking the nose cone off and changing it, but you know, they said it would void the warranty, which I'm sure they'd still take care of it if I needed it. But anyways, it is what it is. I could have done that, but I didn't, so I just waited. But now we're gonna get this thing put on, so let's get to it. Alright, so I got the starter back in. No big deal, pretty simple. Took me maybe 15-20 minutes, not real long at all. And I just hooked up the battery. Got my positive terminal cleaned back up and put on, so let's hit the key. You and me will find out right now if that took care of the problem, which I can't see how it wouldn't, but let's see. Got your fingers crossed? I do. Oh yeah, much better. That's the way it used to crank when I first got it. Barely an effort. Boy, I'll tell you, what a relief having the old Gradall back together. You know, for as much as I use this thing, you know, even as much as I use it, I should say, I didn't truly realize how much I depend on this thing. You know, before I bought this Gradall, I was doing the same types of things. I was just doing it with let's see, a front end loader tractor on a Ford 4000, and I was doing it with my skid steer. No, not the skid steer. What was it? I think it was another. Oh, it was an industrial 3400 tractor with a front end loader on it, and we would lift everything with the 2 tractors. And I had been wanting to get one of these for a while, but it was something that was, you know, outside my budget of what I was willing to spend. And everything I looked at was, oh, about near twice what I was willing to spend. And I kept saving and saving, and finally I came across, well, I saved enough money where I could buy something better. I could afford to buy junky ones that needed a pile of work. And that's really just not what I wanted. I didn't want something that I would have to spend as much time working on as I did using it. So I saved my pennies, and finally I came across one that I had enough money to buy what I was willing to accept as far as condition. And I've had this thing for a few years now, and I spend some money in maintenance, but for a machine that size, as much as I use it, I don't really spend a ton of money. The starter was $200. I could have got it cheaper. I just didn't bother. I got it from Napa. Cummins didn't have it. Cummins was $50 more, and they didn't have it anyways. But you know, in the realm, the big scheme of things, $200 to make that thing work again was plenty okay with me. So it's all right. Well, it's back together, and I guess that means I can move it and I can get that F-150 frame over here. As you can see, it's not sitting here anymore. You know, I moved it with a skid steer yesterday so I could get in to start working on the motor. So, alright guys, I'm going to leave you on that one. Gradall's back together. Like I always tell you, if you guys like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up. I do appreciate that. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button if you'd like. And leave your comments down below. I always respond. And I love reading the comments. You got some really great comments in there. I got to tell you, I do appreciate the fact that there's so many good comments in there. We don't have too many negative Nellies in there. I do appreciate that. So thanks guys, keep that up. I do appreciate it, and we will catch you on the next one.